are listening to the Practicing People's Podcast. I'm CJ Hammond.
And I'm Jordan White. Together, we'll be taking a journey into the practices that help us align with our mind, body, and soul.
So take a deep breath, release, and remain curious as we explore new ways to enhance our lives. Today, we are honored to introduce Ndume Olatushani, a living testament to the power of resilience and justice. Falsely accused and wrongly convicted, Ndume spent over 28 years behind bar and on death row for a crime he did not commit. It was in prison where he began using art and education to transform his life. His artistic talent flourished within the confines of a prison cell, shedding light on the flaws of the justice system. His relentless pursuit of the truth led to his exoneration, and now he advocates for the rights of the wrongly convicted. Ndume's journey is a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can triumph and inspire to change. Ndume, I want to first and foremost say thank you on behalf of me and Jordan for being the very first guest on the Practicing People's Podcast. We are so honored.
Well, I would simply say, man, the honor is all mine. It really is. I'm really happy to be a part of it, and I feel a little special being the first guest. So thanks.
Hey, we could not think of a better guest. So I was talking to Jordan when we first talked about the Practicing People's Podcast and sort of what we were about, and establishing that we wanted to have guests on that really were people of value and practices that are instilled, enhancing wonderful things that are happening in the world. And we couldn't think of a better guest. And Jordan was so kind as to oblige, and he really took hold to your story as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, like I say, I'm honored. I really am. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. And, even in the intro, there's a lot behind that. So just curious if you could share just a little bit about, kind of who you are, a little bit about your story, and
Right.
so we can, yep.
Right. So, like CJ said, my name is Ndume Olatushani. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I was falsely accused of a murder in a state and city I had never been to until the people actually took me down there in handcuffs and chains and put me on trial for it. And in my case, the people knew I was innocent of the crime, but that didn't matter. The only thing that they was concerned about was closing the case, because at the time when I was put on trial for it, the case was over 2 years old. And so I was this young black male being accused of killing a white prominent person in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. Like I said, a city and state I had never been to until the people actually took me down there and put me on trial for the crime. And so, I mean, in terms of, the process, and I guess if you want to call it that, in terms of, so like I said, the people knew I was innocent of the crime because all the evidence that they presented against me was actually, they fabricated it. They fabricated the evidence, and the evidence of my innocence, they actually withheld it. They, buried it, the evidence that showed that I was the person that did not commit the crime. But like I said, that really didn't matter to them. Like I said, I was tried in the city of Memphis. I don't know what you guys know or what the audience may know or not know about Memphis, but even back when I went to trial in 1985, the crime actually happened August 2nd. October the 2nd, 1983, when the crime actually happened. And so I went on trial for it in December 1985, a little over 2 years after the crime actually happened. The people, all evidence, like I said, they fabricated it. In my case, they presented 4 pieces of evidence against me. When I went to trial, the people came in and testified. And I know people see this stuff on TV about, these TV programs about police, how if a crime happened, the people come and process the crime scene. In my case, the car that was actually used in the crime, according to the authorities, they recovered it minutes after the crime actually happened. And so they had the crime scene technician, a person that come and fingerprint, take pictures or whatever they do at a crime scene. So this guy came and testified in my trial that he was the person that processed the car, and he went through this whole list about where he lifted fingerprints from and the whole 9 yards. And so he testified that over the right rear door of the car that was used in the crime, that they had taken a print. They took a print of mine over the right rear door of the car, according to them, when this guy testified. And so that was one piece of evidence that they used against me. They also too had the actual print examiner, the guy that actually looks at the print and say whose print it is or not is or whatever. This guy came and testified that yes, the print that this guy said that he took off a car over the right rear door matched my fingerprint. So at the time, when they was testifying to this at the trial, they was actually withholding the report showing that not only did they did not take a print from the place that they say they took a print from that matched mine, but they also too had another report showing that they had checked my prints and my prints didn't match none of the prints that was actually found on the car. But like I said, I was sitting in prison maybe nearly 15 years before I actually was able, the law actually changed in the state of Tennessee that allowed for me as the defendant or the petitioner at that time, because I was already convicted, that allowed for me to actually have access to the police files, prosecutor files, stuff that where they had these reports buried at. And so so that was, like I said, one piece of evidence that they used against me during my trial about this fabricated print information. And so another piece of evidence that they used in my trial, because they used 4 pieces of evidence to convict me during my trial. Like I said, the print. Then they brought in a witness. They brought in an eyewitness to the crime that was right there, witnessed the crime and everything. This guy came in and testified. He was one of the first witnesses when my trial started. I think he was like the second or third witness they brought in. This guy come in, testified to everything that he seen and witnessed when this murder actually happened. And when you see this stuff on TV, like I said, if you ain't been in the courtroom, so when he walk them through all of what he's witnessed or whatever, they get to the point of saying, okay, do you see the person in the courtroom that committed the crime? So the guy pointed me out, but said that he think I was the person, but he was not 100% sure I was the person that committed the crime. And so after my lawyer get through questioning this guy, he get off the witness stand, go back to work wherever he was working at the time. And later that afternoon, because one thing that happens during a criminal trial, that if a crime actually happened, like in my case, and they got witnesses, they give a statement to the police right there on the crime scene, which is what the witness did in my case. The only time that's available to me, if after the state actually put this person on the witness stand, then I could say that, okay, whatever statements, pre-trial, out of court, any statements that you got that this witness then gave to authorities, then I want it. And so the prosecutors, they fought against, doing what they legally should have did at that point. But the judge obviously ruled in my favor, saying that, yeah, if he got any pre-trial statements, y'all need to turn them over to the defendant at this point. And so later that afternoon, based on the statements, once we got this statement he gave to the police right there minutes after the crime happened, my lawyer said, we need to get this person back in here because the statement didn't match none of the stuff that he was talking about during the trial. So they go back out to his job that afternoon, brought him back, put him on the witness stand. The guy get on the witness stand and told the court, the jury, and all of us sitting in there that the only reason he was saying that I was the person that he thought committed the crime is because the police showed him several pictures of nobody but me, told him I was the person that committed the crime, and the only thing he needed to do was just come in there and basically say that. And so he testified and told us all white, like I said, I'm in the city of Memphis. It's a majority black city, but here I was, a young black male, being accused of killing a white person, and they seated an all-white jury. And so even though that this guy came and told the people that, I'm telling you, it didn't matter. Not only did not matter, but they also too brought in another eyewitness. The eyewitness, just like this person, whatever he witnessed, seen everything, and he said that I was not the person that committed the crime. So, like I said, none of that stuff mattered. Even though the guy came in there and told him, the authorities basically told me to say it's him, and another witness came in there and said that I was not the person, I'm telling you, none of that stuff matters. So that was the second piece of evidence that they used against me, this eyewitness. Then they had a person that we later was able to show, once we was able to get all this information that the police had buried of my innocence. They brought this woman in to testify that she had never met me, never seen me, nothing. Only thing that she said that I showed up at her house with some other people, and so this was the day the crime actually happened. She said that, and they basically used her to say that I was in the city of Memphis on the day the crime actually happened. So she came in and testified that even though that she didn't know me, she testified to the jury that the police, when they approached her, that they kept pushing my picture in front of her about 4 or 5 different times before she just said, okay, yeah, that's him. So she came in and testified that, like I said, that the day the crime actually happened, I was in the city of Memphis. Even though that she had never met me, never seen me, I just somehow appeared and showed up at her house with some other people, which was a bunch of bullshit. But that's what I'm telling you. That's what she actually testified to. And so, they used her, like I said, to place me in the city of Memphis the day the crime actually happened. And like I said, what we was later able to find out, she was actually connected to the people that actually committed the crime. And so when she was offering testimony against me, she was actually doing it not only to cover up for herself, because she actually was given immunity herself to testify against me. So, like I said, what we later found out, and it's important why I'm sitting here now and not somewhere in the grave, is because, like I said, we was able to show, based on the evidence that they actually had, that hell, she was part of the group that actually committed the crime. They knew she was in the car because they actually had her prints. So they knew that she was, that's how they found her. They knew she was in the car. And so they, so like I said, the evidence showed that she was not only in the car, but she was actually connected to the people that, like I said, likely committed the crime. And so that was the third piece of evidence they used against me. The fourth piece of evidence that they used against me, they brought this young woman in at the time that I had a brief relationship with. They paid her to come in because she had some criminal liabilities for some stuff herself, some stuff that I was not involved in, none of that stuff. She has caused some cases herself. And so the people, once they, brought her in, they paid her to come in to testify that I had confessed to her that I had committed a murder in the state of Tennessee. So she came in and testified that I had told her this, I had committed a murder in the state of Tennessee. But like I said, at the time, of course, I didn't tell her that because I'm telling you I didn't commit the crime. But at the time, when she came and testified in my trial, they would tell the information, and she lied on the stand when my lawyer asked her, was she being given anything, promised anything? Well, no, I'm just doing this because it's the right thing to do, to something to that effect. But what we later found out is that not only did they pay her to come and tell a lie on me, but they also too got rid of some criminal charges, some robberies or something that she was involved in for her testimony against me. And so that was the fourth piece of evidence that they used against me. And like I said, all that was fabricated, and it was, I'm sitting in prison on death row. I spent a total of 20 years on death row, but I was sitting on death row about, I think maybe about 13 to 15 years before I was actually able to get this information showing that all this stuff was fabricated. You see what I'm saying? And so, uh, not only, like I said, that was the evidence they used to convict me. And they also, too, so they used what they call the aggravated circumstances to actually give me the death penalty. And that consisted of, they said that not only did I kill a person in this store where this robbery murder happened at, but they said that I also too shot and wounded a customer in the store. That was the evidence that they presented against me. But what we was able to show that when they came in was testifying to that, they was lying about that as well too, because whoever the person that killed the victim, it was impossible for them to do what they claimed that I did, because according to them, the person was killed like right here in front of me, and I spent directly to the right and shot somebody way on the other side of the store or something. The evidence that the crime that they were saying that I did, but what they was withholding was showing that whoever killed the person, it was impossible for them to do this shoot and kill somebody. I mean, shoot and wound somebody in the store. What they said that I did to enhance the enhancement factor to give me the death penalty. And so, because in the store they had all these shells, counters, and all kind of stuff that it was impossible to do that. But during the trial, none of this stuff came out because the lawyer I had, that's a whole nother story. But that was the thing, that when we was able to show that they had lied to give me this enhancement to heighten my case to the death penalty, to make it a death penalty case. So based on that, when we was able to show that that was a lie, that the court said, okay, based on that, we're going to get rid of your death sentence. And so eventually I ended up with a life sentence, and I in prison. When I got off of death row, physically I walked off a day before Thanksgiving, 2004. They sent me off a day before Thanksgiving, which was a bunch of other crap. But because I should have left long before that, but they held me until the day before Thanksgiving and sent me out to the general prison population. So I sit there for another 8 years before I was actually freed on June 1st of 2012, where I physically walked out a free man from the Shelby County Jail in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
And that's kind of in a nutshell.
No, it's a lot. It's 28 years of your life. I'm curious
Right.
personally, what is it like to be in trial when you have people actively speaking to character and or you and things that you know aren't true? Did you feel like the cards were like, was it a hopeless feeling for you during the time of the trial?
Now, and I certainly experienced a range of emotions while I was sitting there going through this process, because, in spite of what you see on TV, sometimes this stuff kind of mimics what happens in courtrooms, but a lot of time this is just some hype. But so when I'm sitting there, so the lawyer telling me, because obviously I'm sitting there, and every time these people sitting up there, hell, I'm sitting there innocent. I want to shout every time somebody get up here and say something that's a lie, that's a damn lie, whatever I'm telling you that I'm going through at the time. But I'm sitting there, and my lawyer, they obviously cautioned, instructing, just hold your peace, or whatever they was telling me about, not get become probably what I should have been in the courtroom, protesting what was actually happening to me. So I had to sit there and be quiet. Certainly there was a range of emotion, and I would say the most prevailing emotion I was probably experiencing was probably anger, because, like I said, I knew I shouldn't have been there in the first place, and then when you have people coming up making telling these lies, I mean, for those people that was telling lies, that like I said, I was angry, but I sit there and hear my peace as I'm going through this process. But yeah, I mean, it was, and in terms of the hope piece, I was hopeful throughout most of my trial. But during the middle of my trial, the prosecutors came and offered me a 25-year deal and told me that if I took the deal, I would be home in 6 years. And I told them, no, I wasn't going to do that because I hadn't committed the crime. But after that, and when we appeared back in court again, it was kind of this whole change of, kind of them kind of doubling down. And it was at that point, I kind of resigned myself to, damn, these people actually might convict me of this here. You see what I'm saying? Because up until that point, I'm saying that, hell, I ain't did nothing, and I, had people, sitting, waiting to testify. The hell, I was 300 some miles away when the crime actually happened. It was impossible for me to commit it. And so, like I said, but then once the people offered me that deal, and I told them I wasn't going to take it, and when we came back in court of 20, 30 minutes, however long after that break was over, and like I said, I kind of felt something shifted in me, like I said, where I'm kind of resigned to this idea that these people actually might convict me of this shit.
Wow. And Ndume, obviously, our hearts go out to you, and
Well, I appreciate that.
it's quite a experience that you've gone through. And I'm just curious. I mean, as far as it's a lot of time to
28 years. That's a lifetime.
to be sitting, and just kind of thinking, and for you to, kind of hold yourself together throughout that process. I'm just curious if you can talk a little bit about, kind of what practices you discovered within prison. What was it that helped you, kind of navigate yourself through that?
Right. Yeah. I think that, there certainly was a number of things. It's, it's certainly not was just one thing. If you can imagine, at the time, I'm sitting in the cell. I can't even stretch my arms out like this here. I'm sitting in a cell built in the 1850s, a 4 by 9 foot cell. I can only stretch my arms out like this here. And that I'm sitting there for 23 hours of the day. Every time I came out of my cell, I'm chained and shackled, raised around my waist, wrists, and ankles like some imaginary monster. That's a lot of pressure. You'd be sitting there facing death for something I hadn't did. Hell, even if for the people that's sitting there that was guilty, I'm telling you, it's a lot of pressure. And so the thing for me, I think that, a few things actually happened. And I guess the thing that I would say, man, that really the thing that kind of turned me around, because I'm telling you, I was pretty angry. I'm sitting there for the first couple of years, I'm sitting on death row about what these people had done to me. And the worst thing, man, and I know it's true wherever you're at in life, it don't make no difference where you're sitting in the cell or where you're sitting. You never want to get this information, but in prison, for me, and certainly probably most people sitting in prison, the last thing that you want them people to do is come and tell you, hey, listen, we need to take you so you can make a phone call home. Because if they come and tell you that, somebody in your immediate family dead, sister, brother, mother, father, but they would also too if it's one of your grandparents. Them the only reasons they're giving you a free phone call home, right? So when the people come to my cell, the people came to my cell and say, hey, listen, you need to get your clothes on, and so we can take you to, we got to take you so you can make a phone call home. And so when the people tell me this, immediately I'm saying, damn, what my mother finna tell me about something that happened to somebody else in my family, right? I'm the 7th of 11 children. I grew up in St. Louis. I'm telling you that, if you don't know nothing about St. Louis, well, first off, it's one of the oldest cities in this country, but it's a violent place. And so when the people came in and, like I said, telling me, come on, we need to take you down there, my head spinning what my mother finna tell me. Who is it? What didn't happen? But when I get down there and I get on the phone, it's my sister telling me about my mother. And you know, you see this stuff on TV sometimes. Something happened, everything slow down, get kind of fuzzy. You know how they do this stuff on TV, this stuff. This was actually happening to me. When my sister, telling me this, nothing in me, I can't even hear what she's telling me. I'm telling you, everything slowed down, got kind of fuzzy. It's like I ain't want to hear what she was saying. And so all this stuff is happening like this though. This seconds, this stuff happening, but I'm telling you, it's like I'm in the movie. You see what I'm saying? But when it settled in, I hear what she's telling me. I'm telling you that from that moment, and for the first 3 days, if my eyes was open, I was crying. If I wasn't crying, I'm telling you, I was balled up in a tear-soaked sleep on the 2-inch foam mattress, if that's what you want to call it, on the slab of steel. I'm telling you, with tear-stained, dried face for 3 days. Only thing I was able to do was drink some water, and I forced myself to do that because I knew I had to do something. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do none of that stuff. But I'm laying down on the third day, this real talk. On the third day, I'm balled up on this bunk in a tear-soaked sleep. And my mother came to me as clear as I'm sitting here talking to y'all. I'm telling you, just as real. And the only thing she said was, get up. I jumped straight up because I jumped straight up. And I'm telling you, my little words in my head was, damn, this nightmare is actually over. That's how real it was. But I woke up. It was what it was. And but I'm telling you that was at that moment, that's the thing that I'm telling you, for 3 days, I couldn't get up. I didn't want to get up. But that was the thing that got me up out of bed, off that bunk. And I'm telling you, it was the thing that my mother told me. It's two things, actually. My mother told me, aside from what I just told you in this dream when she told me to get up. The last time I physically seen my mother was almost a year before this thing, when she was actually killed in a car accident along with a niece of mine. And, when you had a visit, when you come in the visiting room, you could hug and embrace whoever it was coming to see you. You could do that coming and going. And so when she was on her way out the visiting room, the last time I seen her, I just looked at her and said, oh, girl, I wouldn't know what to do if I ain't had you in my life. And I'm telling you, it was true, because I knew she was with me when the world was dumping on me. I knew I had her if I ain't had nothing else. I knew I had her. And she just kind of looked back and said, oh, yeah, you're going to know what to do when the time comes. In the same, just same light, because I just kind of jokingly said, oh, girl, I wouldn't know what to do if I ain't had you in my life. And that's how she came back at me. And obviously, neither one of us knew that would be the last time we would actually physically see each other, because I had talked to her maybe a day or two before this accident actually happened. And so, but those was the words, man. When I was trying to pick myself up, behind that deal, because I'm telling you, I couldn't be hurt no more after that. I'm talking about I was already where I was sitting, right? And when that happened, man, I'm on the ground. Ain't nothing else can happen to me at this point. And so, but it was then that, as I'm picking myself back up from that, man, that my mother's words about, I'm going to know what to do and get up. When she came to me in that dream, I'm telling you, that's the thing that picked me up. Not only was once I'm getting on this track, and it was a process, it ain't happened overnight. It took years that, I began to, not let go of anger. I think anger is a human emotion. I think that we all should be angry. We should never get rid of anger. I'm telling you, we should learn how to channel it. But I'm telling you, anger is a human emotion that we should all embrace because it's the thing that's going to motivate us to get up and do whatever you saying that you don't like or got you angry. Get up and do something about it. And I'm telling you, that was the thing, man, that turned my whole life around in terms of, you know, being able to not, like I say, let go the anger or forgive the people that did any of this stuff to me. Or none of that stuff. It was just that I knew that I had to get up and do something different than the thing that when I'm telling you that when I was knocked down after this news with my mother, man, it was at that point that I realized, even though that I didn't realize it in those moments, but it was that going through that process that I realized for me, it was better to be a broken man and mended in that place than to be walking around in an impending fracture. Because I'm telling you, when that happened, I'm telling you, hey, you can't hurt me no more. Ain't nothing you could do. Nothing you could do that's gonna hurt me, none of that stuff.
You know, reading in your biography and everything, one of the things that stuck out to me in Jordan was you talked about that smile and how you couldn't wipe that off your face, or you can't take that off your face. Was it at that moment that really was ingrained, or were you like that even before that?
I think that I like to think that I was always just kind of happy person. Like I said, I'm the seventh of 11 children. I grew up in a Lord's family. Uh, uh, I mean, we certainly did. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot coming from a Lord's family, uh, and you know, because I think that I was kind of situated. Like I said, I was the seventh child, and my youngest brother up under me, he was 5 years old. He actually was murdered a few years ago. Uh, but that so for 5 years I was the child. So when my younger siblings came along behind me, I was kind of like this bridge between the different generations of my family. And so I think in a lot of ways, man, that kind of prepared me and just kind of I guess prepared me to to be able to just kind of I guess stay happy in some ways. But yeah, I think that yeah, man, I always say, man, if you smile, somebody might smile back.
Hmm.
Yeah, if
So
you
Got us
true.
smile,
smiling.
somebody might smile back.
So
Yeah,
true. Yeah, one of CJ and I's favorite books is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks a lot
right.
about how, you know, considering those circumstances, in World War II, concentration camps,
Yeah.
seems like there's a lot of resonance between kind of your process there and what you experienced, and it sounds like your spirit never broke, and
Oh,
that's a lot
yeah.
of what he talks about in the book too. Is that fair to say, or what would you say about that?
Yeah, no, I think that is true. You know, one thing that never happened for me, man, through this whole process, my spirit was never broken. I never gave up a hope that one day I would actually be free, that the truth would actually prevail. I'm
Yep,
telling you, there were certainly moments of despair. You know, I'm sitting, like I said, for 28 years,
of
and
course. Yeah.
I'm going through this process and this court process, and so there was always, moments of despair in terms of you have a court proceeding, and I'm saying that this is where it's going to happen at. You see what I'm saying? The people going to do the right thing. But, each time, no. So in that moment, when the lawyers tell me where they denied us or whatever the case is, or
For
however, like,
appeals,
yeah, for my appeals. And so, so in those moments, there would be some moments of despair. But I'm telling you, I would always get right back on to, okay, that didn't happen. They just got to move on and keep just pushing toward the next opportunity. Uh, to when I have an opportunity to possibly gain my freedom. So, uh, uh, but yeah, I never gave up on hope. Never. Uh, I never believed. Uh, I mean, certainly there was times where I'm questioning, man, I'm ever gonna get out of here? Is the people going? I mean, you can't help but do that. But I'm telling you, it was never a time that I didn't believe that I would be free. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there would be moments where I'm thinking, damn, it's hard, it's this, it's that, whatever it was. But up on all that, I would still bounce right back to one day I'm gonna be free. And so based on that, I'm gonna be preparing myself for freedom. And I'm telling you, that's how I spent 28 years trying to get prepared for the day that I actually come home.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to meet Ndume through the wonderful gift of my parents introducing me
Yeah.
to him. And at the time, I knew a little bit about Ndume's story, but I really knew Ndume as an artist. And I was told that I was going to go down to where he was kept all his art, and I was going to go look at it. And I had the chance to see some of the most amazing art personally that spoke to me, that spoke to racism, classism, every structural piece of America that is something that kind of binds us down. Where in your journey did you discover the art and turn something that was really, really negative, but how did you turn this into a positive? Like, how did you find art and then become an outlet for you? How did that happen?
Right. Well, I would first start by saying this here, and I used to tell people, and sometimes it still slips out my mouth, that I ain't become an artist till I actually found myself sitting on death row, right? But the truth is that what I know is that all of us are born with a creative gene, and we ain't got to do nothing but, hell, look at what y'all doing. Look around us. Everything that you see ain't a grass or a tree, man made it. It came from my imagination. And I'm telling you, that's the thing that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the thing that makes all of us artists, that we have the ability to imagine as human beings. And so, the thing that led me to art, the thing that led me to it was the thing that actually happened to my mother, actually, because prior to this thing happening to my mother, there was a guy on death row with me at the time. They actually they executed him, but he was an artist. Before I found myself sitting there, I'm telling you, I ain't have no interest in art. I mean, certainly as a kid, I did some coloring and, stuff that kids do, whatever you doing. But other than that, I had no interest in art. But this guy was an artist, and I commissioned him to do a portrait of me because I wanted to send it to my mother, right? And so this guy did this portrait, and I'm telling you, once he did it, it didn't look nothing like me. It's like I'm true story. It didn't look nothing like me, right? And I'm thinking the whole time I got it, I told you I'm in this small space. I'm telling you that 4 by 9 foot cell, you can imagine that. And so I'm in this small space, and I'm looking at this supposed portrait of me did it, and I'm thinking, damn, I could have did a better job and kept my money because I'm telling you, it didn't look nothing like me, right? So, and at the time, I think I must have gave him like maybe 5, 6, 7 cartons of cigarettes because I mean that was kind of the currency. Cigarettes was the currency, one of the currencies inside the prison, and so I gave him I think like anywhere between maybe 5 to 7 cartons of cigarettes. I can't remember how much he has actually charged me for it, but I paid him because I had commissioned him to do it. But I'm telling you, from the moment I got this thing in my cell, I'm thinking what I just told you, I could have did a better job and kept my money. It don't look nothing like me, right? So my mother never got a chance to see the painting. She never got a chance to see it. But I'm telling you, as I was trying to pick myself up from what actually happened to my mother, that that's when I turned into art or turned into my own creativity because when I'm sitting in this cell, I'm sitting there 23 hours of the day. I refused to have a TV because I didn't want to have no TV in this little space where I wanted a book. You see what I'm saying? And
Powerful.
so, right, I refused to have a TV because I wasn't gonna get caught in that trap. And so, so, and like I said, the things that I told you that my mother said to me, and I'm thinking the same stuff about, man, I could have, every time I'm looking at it, the same thought come to my head. I could do a better job. And that one day, I just decided, okay, well, here, you keep saying that. You sitting in this cell, and this just kind of this thinking process. You sitting in this cell, what else you got to do? I pick up a pencil. They used to give us any pencil, they'll cut it down like 3-4 inches. You couldn't have no long pencil. But they give us the little pencils or whatever. And so I just started, drawing. I started like my shoe over there in the corner. I'm just trying to draw the shoe, or I'm just anything in the cell because I ain't got no imagination about what I want to be drawing. So I'm just looking at whatever's in this cell and just trying to draw it. And that was the beginning of the thing that I'm telling you, literally and figuratively saved my life, because it was through my art. Not only that I was able to create and find freedom in that space that I'm telling you about, I was actually able to find freedom in there. In that, and I'm telling you, through that, it was through my artwork that not only that, people were drawn proximate to my situation. Because I was not one of them people sitting in prison. Talking about, if you extended your hand to me in friendship, I was not in there telling you all innocent, because I know this is what I know about most people in society, that they then bought into this lie that, hell, everybody in prison say they're innocent. And so my thing was that if you extended your hand to me in friendship, hell, if you couldn't help me get out of prison, you don't even need to know why I'm here. And I certainly didn't want to jade, anybody's views of me by coming. As soon as you come in, I'm saying, hey man, I'm sitting here for something that I didn't do, because I didn't want people to say, oh, here's another one of them people talking about he ain't commit the crime and just write me off like that, right? So I was not one of them people, like I said, unless you can come in and help me get out of here. Here, if I'm sitting on death row, I must have been charged and convicted of a murder. So we ain't got to talk about that. You see what I'm saying? And but it was that's how, man, I came, ordered, like I said, order not only allow for me to find freedom in that space, but it also too, like I said, drew people proximate to my situation. And through that process, then it was opportunity for me to say, tell you about my situation. Otherwise, I'm telling you, it didn't matter, because if you wanted to buy some of my art, you can come and do that. I sell you that, but you ain't get. I ain't need to tell you nothing behind my story and none of that stuff there. So, but yeah, art saved my life. That's how I met my wife. She was working for this anti-death penalty organization, and this was back in 1990. She was working for this anti-death penalty organization, and they used to host these art shows once a year for those of us sitting on death row. They would, take our work, use it to talk about the death penalty and why we shouldn't be using it, and sell. If they sold your stuff, I think they took 5 or 10%, and they sent us the rest of the money back. The year that I met my wife Anne Marie, she was actually she was the person that was coordinating the art show for that year. And when she seen some of my work, it was kind of different. According to her, it was different from the other stuff that was in there, because most people was, when you look at, and I don't want to say prison art, but if you see a lot of artists that's in prison, you see certain kind of themes. in my case, I was always trying to paint what I wanted to see, or what you said earlier, CJ, trying to paint something that would provoke some type of thought process about some of these ills that we deal with in society. So I was, you couldn't look at my work and just kind of see some of these overarching kind of prison themes that you see in a lot of artists that's sitting in prison. You see what I'm saying? I don't like to use the word prison art. You see what I'm saying? But the artists that's sitting in prison, a lot of time you can see these kind of overarching themes that. But I was never, for me, like if you ever been inside the jail or a prison, uh, you know that if paint on the wall is some dull, off white, battleship gray, whatever some of these colors that they call, that's if paint on the wall. And so for me, uh, you know, once I started painting and had access to, because I had got pretty good at just pencil drawing. But it was at some point I'm thinking, man, it's something else I need to be doing because I had got, like I said, pretty good. And one day I'm thinking, I just kind of had this eureka moment. Damn, it's color. You see what I'm saying? So that's when I started using color pencils or anything that I can make some color out of. Hell, I even made some color out of different stuff that whether it was food or tea or coffee or something, you using to just try to create some color. And so, but at some point, color became a form of resistance for me, man, because like I said, even though that I was in this colorless environment devoid of color, the thing for me was that you couldn't stop the color that was happening in my head. So that's why when you see my stuff, you see a lot of stuff that I paint, especially some of the stuff that I was painting when I was sitting in prison. You see a lot of colors in them because, like I said, the one thing that I realized and understood, and it's true, I don't care where you're at in life, that I don't care what's got you mired down in the mud holes of life, whatever it is, I'm telling you that, we have to, it's sort of like what you said, Jordan, about giving up hope or any of this stuff here, that we have to get that up. We have to get that away. You know what I mean? And I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. And so, like I said, color just came this kind of, like I said, is this way of resistance. Because I'm saying, hell, you could bring me a toothbrush in there. I mean, not a toothbrush, a damn paintbrush in there, cut it down to 3-4 inches. You try to, all these different ways to try to stifle this human experience. Like I said, our creativity. You see what I'm saying? And shit, when they would bring me that, I ordered some paintbrushes and they bring them cut all down. I wouldn't do nothing but take some newspaper or magazine and wet the pages and roll them real tight around the little nub, and it would get hard as the stick was in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So,
Wow.
they couldn't stop that. It's sort of like it's sort of like you can kill a flower, but you can't kill spring, man. So more gonna grow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if people aren't inspired by now, wow.
Right.
I mean, it's just I really want to acknowledge you, Ndume, and
Well,
thank
I
you for
appreciate
just
that.
sharing more about, our imagination, our inner creativity, and
Yeah,
how there's a spectrum of that, right? Because a lot of people use their imagination to suffer and think about the worst case scenario and,
right.
like kind of go down the dark hole. You, on the
Yeah.
other hand, were sitting in a dark hole, but you had all this beautiful creativity and imagination that you were tapping into, which sounds like it was what helped get you through,
Oh man,
a lot of this.
when you think about our creativity, that here, man, you know that they have, and this is what I say about the platform, just what you guys are doing now, and even me as an artist. I mean, we all artists. Y'all just doing it in a different way. That that the responsibility that comes along with with it when you got a platform that we could know that it was people thousands of years ago in a cave somewhere, put their hand on the wall and spit some berry juice around it, and nothing else. The only thing that lets us know that person was there. We might not know nothing about what they're doing, but you can't deny the fact that they was there because they left that handprint around in that cave with some berry juice spit around it to let you know that they was actually there. And I'm saying that as artists, the legacy that even what you guys are doing right now through this podcast, I'm telling you, is just as important as whatever I choose to do with my artwork in terms of trying to elevate some people and have them to think about think about some, I guess, in terms of what's actually happening around us. And this goes back to the anger again. Like I said, that we should wake up and be angry about something because there's so much around us that we should be lending our voice to or whatever we can to make sure that we challenging something that we know is not right. I'm saying that we could wake up, and when I say wake up angry, obviously I'm talking about in this way that I know anger is human emotion, and it's actually only a motor. It's like gas. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It could be like gas. You see what I'm saying? The thing that's going to get you up and get you moving to do something about it.
Let me ask you, because I'm curious. You talk about this impact that you're having on the world. How did you, when you started this art and everything, I don't know if it was necessarily your intention to have an impact on the world. That's just what happened by byproduct of continuing to do the practice of creating this beautiful art and then speaking against injustices. Like, what is like that impact on the world that you're having now and being able to speak against the criminal justice system and the wrongs that are happening, racial injustices, systemic, like, what is that like for you to have that kind of impact on the world? Do you like actively, when you're speaking and having these engagements, are you even like aware of this impact that you're having, or it's just something from the soul? Or
right, I think it's probably all of that and some more in terms of I do think that and at least I like to believe that that I am making a difference. I know that there's certainly been cases where I didn't talk to youngsters in high school and hell, now they're in college, and it would say that, man, hearing from you, it made a difference in my life in terms of how I chose to go or whatever the case is. But even though that I was knocked down like I did, I think the fact that I was able to get through that fire, that is, I mean, whatever knocks us down, man, if you pick yourself back up from it, it ain't meant for you. It's you just been forward so you can go and hopefully when you see somebody else bent and bowed by life circumstances, be able to tell them, hey, listen, man, if you keep getting up, putting your best foot forward, then you may be able to walk beyond whatever's got you messed up in life right now, whatever that is. You see what I'm saying? Whether you're struggling with drugs, whatever those struggles are, and we know that even though that we know that they can be the same thing, even though that we may experience it different. I mean, because if you got a drug addict over here and one over there, whatever's got them doing it may be different reasons, but they're still going through the same thing. And I'm saying that whatever those struggles are, I mean, mine was what it was. And I was certainly, because I had people in my life, my family and people around me that was always there with me. But for that, I'm sure I would be a different person. But because of that, then, like I said, I know that, getting through that fire through to the other side, then it wasn't meant for me. That's why, I mean, I travel the world and just trying to share my story and talk about other people's stories that I know that's still sitting. I'm talking about, I don't care what you think about, people sitting in prison, jail, whatever people think. But the reality is that, I mean, as a civilized society, we shouldn't be executing people. You see what I'm saying? And I think that even if if locking people up in this country wasn't such a huge industry, then we wouldn't have the type of prison population that we have. But because you got hundreds of billions of dollars involved in locking people up, yeah, you know, in this country, that simply means somebody going to jail, and disproportionately, they black and brown people.
So when you're going around and speaking, is that like what are your conversations like that you're having with audiences when you're going to have these conversations?
I think it differs, but it different in terms of, I mean, if I'm happen to just be talking to some law students about my case, for instance, in the death penalty, then that's one thing. But if it's like me and you talking, like we talking right now, and obviously y'all done created a platform for a wider audience. So then it becomes this thing that, like I said, if you're talking about the criminal justice system, I need to quit touching this table. That if you're talking about the criminal justice system, I mean, the death penalty is that's the end of the line. So that's just the end of the line. I mean, you don't go no further than that in the criminal justice system. And so, but when you have people, I mean, like I said, who would not? I think all of us need to know this fact here, and that is that while we sitting on this computer doing what we're doing right now, you got some people sitting in boardrooms and around this country projecting their future profits on kids in the second, third, and the fourth grade, talking about how many prison beds you're gonna need for some of these kids that you're looking at. Based on the zip codes, the high schools, or how are they using these mechanisms to project their profits based on the growth of the prison system? It's like, I'm saying, man, that's some devilish stuff. I'm saying that who in the hell would, I mean, I wouldn't want to, I'm one of them people that's sitting in prison. When I'm seeing young people coming through here, I'm trying to tell you, man, y'all don't know what you think you in for, but you need to get out when you can, or while you can. As opposed to, you got people sitting up, like I said, looking at a 10-year-old saying, well, in 6 or 8 years from now, we're going to need a prison bed space based on this zip code or how many kids coming out of here. It's like y'all sitting out in California, and I would encourage you to do this here. Go look and see how much it costs to house a juvenile for 1 year in California. I would imagine it's over $200,000. Can you imagine what you could do with that type of money if you actually was trying to help a kid, a family? Hell, you could spend a portion of that to help his whole family.
Yeah.
And none of them may end up in jail.
Exactly, because they got nurtured, or someone cared about them, or someone poured into them at the right time.
I mean, exactly. And the thing that oftentimes, even though that it certainly don't boil down to it, money, but we obviously live in the place that we live in. And so when you talking about, just like you said, Jordan, about certain, I mean, if you don't have feel like you got some resources to pour into your child, even though I'm telling you a lot of time it ain't all money, but we certainly need money. You see what I'm saying? And so, but like I said, man, if you spending $200 and some $1,000 a year to house a kid away from home, I'm saying that it seems to me, and I ain't no mathematician, but it certainly don't add up to me that hell, you could take 50,000 of that and get this family some counseling, some job training, some groceries, and in school and some more stuff
to enhance their lives versus trying to distract from it to gain a profit for oneself. It's really disgusting. I mean, no, that really is. We appreciate that, the fact that you speak on that, because Jordan and I frequently talk about inequities, and really that's one of the founding principles of this show is love. One of the things that capital really has, you could be a billionaire in love, and it seems to be that you're the same. So if you can pour that love into someone along with the resources of actual financial aid, we could have
Yeah.
changed this whole world.
Right. Oh man, easily. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could change this whole world, man, in terms of if you didn't have people in the business of trying to capitalize on people's misery. You know what I mean? I think that, man, when I was growing up, and I would imagine in some form, if not the same form, your mother, father, somebody told you the same thing, and it's simple: treat people like you want to be treated, right? And so that if I want for you what I want for myself, nobody had to tell me how to treat you. You see what I'm saying? And it's a simple concept. You know what I mean? It really ain't that complicated. I mean, if I want for your child what I want for mine, and that is I want them to be safe, I want them to have all the food, shelter, all these things that we need. I'm saying that if I want for your child, I'm telling you that what I want for my own, nobody had to tell me how to treat your child here. I'm telling you that, and I can't imagine this wouldn't be true for nobody in this world that you go get. I don't care where you go get them from. If you stood them on the corner where they ready to cross the street and you got some cars parked right there where the cars driving by can't see the kid standing behind this car finna step out in the streets. And if you standing there with them and you see the kid finna step out in the street, I would be willing to bet my life that you can't go find nobody on the streets that say they wouldn't pull that child back. Now, that's not to say you ain't got some of these lousy bastards that will kill a child and do the stuff that they actually do. But most people, you catch them walking on the streets, and if they in a situation, like I said, where you see this child finna step out in the streets, because you can see across the top of these cars, you see the car coming. You ain't finna let that kid step out there in front of that car. And I'm saying that, if we all had that attitude, even though I know that that's true, I don't care. But if we had the attitude that I want for my kids what I want for yours, I'm telling you that we wouldn't even see the type of gang situations that we see in this country, because when people were sitting back talking about, oh, that's them kids over there. Oh, that's them, that ain't mine. Hell, now these people that were sitting back, you got gangs in the suburbs and everywhere else. You see what I'm saying? But had you stepped up when you seeing this stuff and you over there talking about, oh hell, them ain't my kid, and you listening to this rhetoric and this nonsense that politicians, when they holler about crime, hell, if you don't know, you should know. Whenever you hear these people hollering about crime, hell, they talking about black and brown people. These are just code words, and people know that. Whether they subconsciously know it or consciously know it. When you hear certain people using certain phrases, crime. I mean, hell, if that come out of a politician's mouth, that's a code word for racial profiling or some other bullshit. And I'm saying that, but had people not bought into that, like I said, that when you see kids over here across the neighborhood or wherever you seeing this stuff you seeing it happening, because people force feed, spoon feeding this nonsense to you in the news media. Hell, black people make up, according to certain people, hell, we ain't never grew none. We still at 13% of the population. I don't believe that. But I'm saying that when you look at black people in this country, for instance, hell, like I said, when you hear crime, most people, they associate that with black people. But the reality is black people, like I said, make up probably 15% of this society or whatever the case is. But we commit on aggregate less than 10% of the crime that happens in this country. 99% of the crime, that 99+% of the crime we commit is against other black people. And that's true for everybody. I mean, white people commit crimes against the people they living in the neighborhood.
It's your communities.
That's the where you coming from. But if you look at the media and the news, you would think that, hell, black people and brown people must be responsible for every crime that's happening in the country, even though it's not true. Yeah. But when you hear these words, when you hear a politician talking about crime, hell, you know what they talking about. They talking about black and brown people.
Yeah, it's another way that we were talking about earlier about how the imagination and creativity can also be poisonous.
Of
So
course.
I'd
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you and Ndume. I mean, so it seems like a few, obviously quite a few throughout this process of, going in prison and then moving into, your artistic career. I'm just curious, what valuable lessons, 1 to 2 valuable lessons have you learned, through this practice of tapping into your inner creativity,
Yeah.
following your intuition, letting your spirit guide you, on your personal growth journey.
Yeah.
What are 1 or 2 lessons that you would share with the
I would
listeners?
say, one, man, I read this book, during the time I was sitting in prison. Like I said, for the first 10 years that I was sitting in prison, I ain't want the TV because, like I said, I didn't want the distraction uh, of being in this small space and getting lost in no damn TV. I wanted to give me a book, give me a law book, in fact. You see what I'm saying? So I can learn about this system that I'm going through. And that's what I'm telling you, that's what I did. But I think that, man, uh, I read over I'm sure, a couple of thousand books while I was sitting in prison for 28 years, right? But, uh, uh, but man, I read this one book. It's called The Holy Man. It's just a little small book. It ain't no big book or none of that stuff there, and I certainly won't give it away. Uh, uh, but it was sort of like this affirmation. Uh, uh, and the book had a real profound effect on me, even though that I knew to some degree. It was like I was saying, you want to treat people like you want to be treated, right? But long story short, and I ain't gonna give too much away because I encourage you guys and who are the audience to go read this book. It's really powerful. That it's called The Holy Man, and but it's basically this rich guy. They had this monk or holy man on the mountain somewhere. He on this mountain, and everybody want to see the holy man because they get whatever the holy man got for them. And so you had this rich guy. Uh, you know he he trying to get his audience with the holy man or whatever. And so you got this long line going, from the top of the mountain down to the town where people get wait in line, and he trying to buy his way up there, nobody want to give up their space because they trying to see the holy man. And so he devised this plan that what he was going to do the next time he see a monk or somebody come off the mountain, he was going to actually jump them and take their clothes so he can, get a quick way back up the mountain and see the holy man. And the long story short, when the guy came off the mountain, the next guy came off the mountain, it actually was the holy man, but he dressed like one of the normal people, so he can just go down and, uh, without all this people around him or whatever, I guess. But the more of the story is basically, like I said, man, want for other people what you want for yourself. Because even though that this guy was doing everything because he wanted to see the holy man, it's like hell, you jumped and beat the holy man up. You see what I'm saying? It's sort of like what you and me personally. I mean, I'm a very spiritual person. But I'm telling you, I do not believe in religion. I don't even believe in God. You see what I'm saying? And that's just me. And I don't think that you have to be a spiritual person to believe in uh, some of these ideas. I don't hold nothing against nobody that believe it, but I'm telling you, I'm a non-believer. And because I believe in people, man. I believe in what I can see right here. You got some of these people that's around here, and I call them hypocrites. You around here claiming to be a Christian, but you ain't doing nothing. Everything you doing is certainly not Christian-like. And these will be the very same people, I'm telling you, that sitting back talking about they waiting on God to descend from the sky. They'll be the very same people that kill him again. Soon he come back down there talking about, oh no, you need to kick your money tables over, or get rid of your guns, turn them into some plow. Yeah, them would be the very same people that kill him again, according to the teachings. You see what I'm saying? But like I said, I personally am a non-believer. I think that, like I said, I believe in people, man. Uh, I believe in. Uh, I mean, it's hard for me to see how people can believe in something that you can't see. You believe in what you can't see, and you believe in this ideal about what that actually means. But here you is looking at me, and you can't even treat me like that. You can't even treat me like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, any of these religions telling you how to treat me. But you don't. It's something out there you can't even see, but you got this reverence for it. But hell, I'm right here in front of you, and this empirical evidence here. This idea that this other stuff ain't, you can't show me no proof that it actually exists. I mean, when you have people, and I was one of the people, man, that I mean, I grew up. I grew up. My mama, grandmother, they made us go to church. But yeah, once I got to be a certain age, but particularly once I was in a position, I'm telling you that I wasn't reading the Bible or the Quran or the Torah. I'm telling you, I began to study this stuff. And so when I tell you what I believe, it's not because I just woke up without, any idea. I'm telling you, it's based on my reading and studying as opposed to, listening to somebody telling me about, you know, something out there that you want me to believe in and you want me to have this reverence for, but this thing that you say created all of us here, I don't want to treat you. I don't even want to treat you like this, or even though that I'm talking about, all this stuff about, you know, how I should be acting, what the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, or whatever this stuff telling me. But I can't even, shit, I ain't acting like that with you. I should be treating you like a God.
Mm-hmm.
If God created you in his image,
Mm-hmm.
you see what I'm saying?
Let me ask you something, because it kind of, as we begin to wrap up, seeing as we are the Practicing People's podcast, and you just imparted some wisdom about kind of the do unto others. But if Ndume had the chance to not only talk about the practices that you partake in your daily life,
Yeah.
would there be anything that you could dispel to the listeners about practices that you might encourage them to pick up, or practices that you do on the regular that you see enhancing other people's lives?
Right. Yeah. No, I think that certainly. I think that one thing is that, like I said, I think that I think that we should be always be mindful of how we use language, because I mean words are certainly important. I think that it's like uh, we can you can use a word a certain kind of way for good or bad, however that is. And I'm saying that we have to certainly be clear about what it is that we want to express, project, or whatever the case is. And so I'm always trying to be mindful of how I use words. And not only that, I think one of the certainly a practice for me, and I think it would be helpful for everybody, is, like I said, not only just this ideal of wanting for others what you want for yourself, but also too being real thoughtful about uh, uh, what other people may be going through. You know what I mean? I know a lot of time it's easy for us to sit back and say, you look at somebody, whatever their situation is, and it's like, hell, they ain't really got no problem. You see what I'm saying? I mean, me and you could go through the same thing. That's what I was saying back before about, man, whatever you go through and you be able to pick yourself up from it, you got a you charged with the responsibility to go help somebody else. Because I'm saying that me and you could go through the same thing. I ain't got to say me and you here. When I was sitting on death row, I'm sitting there with over 100 and some people facing the same thing that I was facing. So we sitting there all facing the same fate, but we all experiencing it different. It was some people there that, hell, friends of mine, a couple of them committed suicide. You see what I'm saying? And I seen other people commit suicide uh, or be broken by this process. Uh, and I'm saying that wherever we find ourselves in life, man, is always going to be somebody worse off than us. It's all, I don't care where you at. You could be homeless. I'm telling you, it's somebody worse off than you. And I'm saying that if we are mindful of that, and I think that if we, I guess to simplify what I'm simply saying is, man, what we put out is what we get back. So if I'm telling you, if you in life and you always holding on to your fruit, whatever that is, you got both of your hands tight like this here. Hell, you can't never open your hands to receive something else. I got a couple of when I was I got a couple of nieces, and I know it's kind of key and stuff. But as they was growing up, but I would see them sometime. Like if I went by my sister's house or my mama's house or anybody, the kids there, the bump pop truck, you come down the street and they hollering everybody. So I'm buying everybody ice cream or whatever that is. And I had a couple of a couple of nieces. They would get their stuff and they just won't even lick it. They want to have something at the end. You see what I'm saying? When all the other kids and they there, they want to be there. But the whole time that they trying to hold out, it's dripping down their hand. It's melting away. And it's the same thing, man. I'm telling you, if you got your hands full, you can't never open them to receive nothing. So if you holding on to uh, uh, some stuff, when you talk about some lessons in life, so when I'm sitting on death row, right, I come to this realization that obviously we need money and that type of stuff there, man, but that is not the most important things in life. The most important things in life you can't buy 'em. You see what I'm saying? You can't buy them, and I don't care shit. Some of the most miserable people in the world is the richest. You see what I'm saying? So the things that's going that make you the happiest in life, you can't buy them. And so I think that when we able to get to a place, man, that you understand that your human worth and value is not contingent on what you possess materially, then I'm telling you that opens the door for so much in terms of how we treat each other. You see what I'm saying? Because if you know your worth ain't contingent on what you possess materially, then if you got something, like I said, if your hands is full, hell, I see you over there hungry. I'm holding all these apples. By the time I get to eating a small portion of them, the rest of them gonna be rotten. So why am I not giving it to you? Because I know that if I give it to you, man, the universe gonna bless me with whatever I need. When my hands is open, I can receive it. You see what I'm saying? It's sort of like I don't know if you guys ever heard the Buddhist proverb that it says something about when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? That that and it's actually true in a lot of different ways in life, because I'm saying that whatever we put out is what we gonna get back. It's sort of what I said earlier. Hell, if you smile, somebody might smile back. And if you in the wrong place, and if you got rocks in your jaw, somebody gonna probably hit you in your jaw. So it's probably better that you still be smiling. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, you got us
No, that
smiling now, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got us
Right.
smiling. Hey, I'm gonna let Jordan wrap us up, but briefly before that, I would love if you just took a brief second to just tell anybody how they can reach out to you, see your artwork, see the amazing work
Right.
that you do. Like, can you just give the folks how they can continue to stay in touch with Ndume and
Right.
the beautiful work that you do?
Right. Well, yeah, and I would definitely hope that people will, because I'm working on a really serious project now about this whole lynching series that I'm actually doing. But people can certainly reach out to me through indumeart.com. That's my website that you could reach me through that. And or at Ndume at gmail.com. I mean, you can certainly reach me. I'm out here trying to do everything that I can. I think it's important. I think that, like I said, wherever we at in life, we can always help somebody else because there's somebody around us that's worse off than we are. And I'm telling you that if you help somebody, somebody gonna be around to help you when you need it. And so, but yeah, I mean, that's how I can be reached. Like I said, I'm out here doing everything that I possibly can, throwing an alarm clock in the graveyard to wake up the walking dead here. Instead of, you know what I mean? So, that's where I'm at. I think, like I said, this issue around criminal justice, the death penalty, and all this stuff, that we dealing with. Like I said, wake up angry about something, get it and go change it. Get involved and go change it. I mean, it's like in the terms, it's people doing good work all over the place. It ain't like you got people don't have to invent a wheel or none of that stuff. There, you ain't got to do nothing but find out what people doing, and I'm sure you can find the exact lane that you want to be in, because there's people out here doing the work, and we always need people that are coming in with some energy to help continue and do the work as well too. So for the audience out there, get involved in the good fight, man. But for that, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be sitting here on this. I wouldn't be sitting here talking. I have no doubt that had not good people got involved in my life and struggles, that I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm sure I would have been executed. And whoever these people that go look at the names of these people that's been executed, I'm sure they would have got to my name and say, here, he was just another one of them people that got nothing more than he deserved. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so go out and get in a good fight, man. We can always help somebody. And I'm telling you, if we helping somebody gonna help us, because we gonna need some help. As human beings, we don't get through life from a baby to old without no help.
Amen.
So true.
Throughout our whole life experience. And so, get in a good fight, help somebody. And I'm telling you that, the universe going to make sure when you need some help, somebody going to help you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Ndume, thank you seriously so much for taking the time to share your story. I know there's plenty to reflect on between tapping into your inner self, your creativity, tithing, right? Like givers get, that whole idea that, and when we're doing it from just a genuine place, not to keep karmic score and not to, be owed something.
You're doing it because you're human, man.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, when we in touch with our humanity, nobody had to tell you how to treat me or me you. When you rooted in your humanity, you're going to want for me what you want for yourself.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Period. You could take, let me say this. I know we wrapping up. You could go find somebody on the streets. I'm talking about down and out. I'm talking about in the worst kind of way. On drugs and some more stuff. But if you go and had an opportunity, even have an opportunity to talk to any of them, they're gonna still try to give you some good advice about what you can and should be doing in life, even though that you see them sitting where they sitting. You see what I'm saying? Because even though that they sitting there, but if they rooted in their humanity, if they right there, that person gonna, even though that I'm telling you he's sitting there with a needle in his arm, he'll be telling somebody, man, don't do this here. Go do something else. Don't do this. You see what I'm saying? Because he won't for somebody that, even though that he probably wanted, for most people strung out on drugs, obviously most of them don't want to be there, but it is what it is. But most of them don't want to see somebody else there other than the people that they getting high with here. But you can go, you find these people, I'm talking about bent and broken by life, they still going to try to tell somebody, man, don't go do that. Don't do this. try to offer you some advice, that's coming from their humanity. You see what I'm saying? And that's not to say, like I said, obviously you got people out there that hear somebody come along that they just trying to, hell, if you could help me get some dope or commit a crime, then let's go do it. You see what I'm saying? But most people, if you catch them, no, they don't want for they want for you what they want for themselves. If they're in touch with their humanity, even though that they may be toe up.
Those words are going to stay with me for sure. I definitely, my awareness to being drawn to the being rooted in humanity will be sticking with me. I thank you. And Jordan, I think you were going to say something, but.
Yeah, I mean, basically what you were saying, and again, just thanking Ndume for the words of wisdom. I mean, so many throughout this episode here, and we'd love to have you back, a little down the road, so we can continue to support the work that you're doing. And we really do appreciate the conversation today.
Oh, well, man, it's pleasure's all mine. I think, like I said, man, I'm so proud of you brothers. Y'all doing some y'all then create a platform. Man, I'm telling you that responsibility come along with it. And the fact that I'm here with you guys, I know that y'all taking it serious. In terms of just trying to bring something to people that, like you said, that hopefully people gonna get up and keep putting their best foot forward, not only for themselves but the people around them as well too. And so, like I said, I'm proud, I'm happy, and honored to be a part of what you guys are doing. I know it. I already know what it's gonna do.
Oh.
I already know.
We truly, the smile that you talk about, you've brought a smile to our face throughout this whole entire time, and we truly value every piece of information that you gave. And Ndume, thank you very much for being on the first actual interview ever on the Practicing People's podcast. We are immensely excited for this. We thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be making sure I do everything I can to support you guys. Yeah. So
thank you.
Hey man, thanks CJ, and I'll talk to you guys later. And man, listen, like I said, I'm really proud of the work that you guys are doing. It's important, and I already know what it's gonna do.
Hey, Ndume, thank you so much. I have nothing but love for you as always. I know it's received just as well as it's given.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, and we'll be talking soon, brother.
Thank you for joining us today on the Practicing People's podcast. We hope you found our conversation inspiring and thought-provoking. We appreciate your support and passion for personal growth and self-improvement.
To help build the Practicing People's community, please follow us on Instagram at Practicing People's Podcast for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and engaging discussions. Liking and sharing our posts will spread the word about the podcast to others who can benefit from these conversations. You can also reach out to us at our website, www.practicingpeoples.com, for more materials and ways to tap into the community.
Leaving a rating and review on your preferred podcast platform is a valuable way to support us and help potential listeners discover our show.
Remember, personal growth is a journey we embark on together. Let's build a community where we uplift and inspire one another to achieve our true potential.
Thank you for being part of the Practicing People's podcast family. And until next time, keep practicing and keep growing.